Hello, hello. How are we doing? How are you doing? Hello, everybody. So, tonight, or today for some of you, we are talking about asking for the sale, the scary bit, the bit that nobody likes. So, I'll just give everybody a minute to jump on because I know a few of you were quite keen to check out what I've got to say about asking for the sale because it is the bit that so many of you dread. You know, the shall we go ahead? It's a scary bit. So if you are here with me, give me a hashtag live. You know how it works. Show me some love. Show me that you're there. Tell me something about your day. Hello, I can see people joining. So just so you know, I'm not live with Zoom. I'm live directly in Facebook, which means I can see your comments. And if you've got anything lovely to say to me, say it now. I've had a really busy day. I'm feeling exhausted actually. So the health coaches in the group, I know Louise, you'll probably be watching. You'll probably still be very proud of me that I have been super healthy, but I am feeling a little bit tired. So maybe I'm not eating enough, maybe I'm not doing enough exercise, or maybe I'm just doing too much and I'm just really tired. But yeah, I'm still bringing the energy for you today. Hello, Michelle. How are you, sweetheart? Are you okay? I hope you've had a good day. I was just saying, Michelle, I feel really tired. I've been so good on my diet with my exercise, but yeah, I'm feeling a little bit tired. But we are talking about how to ask for the sale and how to feel comfortable and confident doing it because so many people fear asking for the sale. So let me just sort of start with some positioning stuff. So as a sales and business coach, one of the things that I have to be very aware of is what my clients find the most difficult because I need to be able to anticipate what they need from me, what they expect of me. And so one of the biggest things that I get told is that from clients and clients to be is that they don't actually mind the sales process. They don't mind, buying in the systems and setting up systems to help them sell effectively. But when it comes down to a sales conversation, so maybe a discovery call, they don't like actually asking for the sale at the end. And so that throughout the whole sales call, throughout the whole discovery call, that pressure is mounting. The pressure of actually we're building a good relationship, this is going really well, I'm understanding them, they feel like they're aligned with me, it feels like my next program or my offer is going to be suitable for them. So it's all going really, really well. But during that discovery call, the pressure is mounting that at the end of it, you're going to have to ask them the question, the sales question. So not proposal, not marriage proposal, but the big question, which is, do you want to work with me? Do you want to go ahead? Do you want to buy my program? Do you want to buy my course? Whatever it is that you sell. And so that big question affects your mindset, the way that you feel, your self-belief during the whole sales call. So it kind of hinders your success and it maybe stifles your success because that pressure is there mounting. So I want to give you some tips on this live training that's going to help you to feel really comfortable and confident in asking for the sale. And just so that you know, like my own methodology, the way that I like to sell is I prefer my clients to ask to buy. Now, you might think that that's a bit passive and, a bit risky, that what if they never ask and therefore I never find any clients? I promise you it's not risky. It works. It works for me. It's worked for years. That if you operate, if you build relationships and you operate with integrity, behaving in a way that's aligned with your ideal client, not everybody, aligned with your ideal client, because you don't want to work with everybody. You only want the right ones for you. If you operate and behave in a way that attracts that ideal client, I promise you they will reach out. When they need you, and you're educating them all the time that they need you, and when they need you it will be because of these reasons, and this will be the solution that you can provide, I guarantee when they need you they will reach out. So that is my whole methodology around how I write my content, how I write my copy. It's all about client attraction rather than selling out, outwardly selling like, hello, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. It's not that style of sales. So if you are not a buy my stuff kind of person, then you're going to work really well with some of the stuff, some of the tips that I've got here for you on this session, because this is more about client attraction than, overly influencing or pressurizing somebody to buy. So I know we've got Michelle. Hello, Claire. Hello, Robin. How are you both? I saw that you've both been active today in the group, so lovely to catch up with what you're doing. So let's get into some content for you. So asking for the sale. There's a couple of ways that you can ask for the sale. How about you guys, if you could tell me in the comments, how do you ask? Do you say, do you want to go ahead? Do you ask, does this sound good for you? Is this a good fit for you? Shall I send the contract? How do you feel asking that question, and how do you word it? What does it sound like when you ask? What I would get you to think about is whether or not the question that you ask is a closed question or an open question. So if it's a closed question, it's a yes or no answer. Okay, so do you want to go ahead is a closed question, because you're only going to get yes or no. I guess you could get, hi Abigail. I guess you could get a, well, I'm not sure. But if you ask a closed question, it will sound something like, do you want to go ahead? Are you happy with this? Would you like to buy? They are closed questions. And so what I'm going to suggest to you is that you move away from a closed question. Because if you recognize now during this session that you are asking closed questions to try to close a sale, I'm going to suggest and recommend to you that you stop asking a closed question, and I'm going to give you some open questions that will hopefully change the game a little bit for you. So by asking a closed question, you're putting huge pressure on yourself and your client. Because by asking a yes or no question, you're creating that moment, you're creating that pause, you're creating that awkward bit where you have to stop talking so that you can wait for them to answer. Would you like to buy from me is yes or no, and then you have to stop and wait for them to answer. And so all the time in your head you're thinking, what if they say no? I hope they don't say no. Can I get a sense from their facial expression what they're thinking? What's going to happen next? What if they reject me? This is going to be awful, and we were getting on so well. All that pressure is building and building, and it causes your little imposter syndrome, your little doubts and fears to be cooking away in your brain. But it also, in the client's mind, it's adding pressure to them, because they're thinking, oh, I've got to make a decision. I don't feel ready. I don't feel like I've got enough information. I wish that she told me this, or oh, this is not the moment. I'm not ready. I kind of want to, but I'm nervous. And so if you're asking a closed question, my advice is to stop asking that closed question of, do you want to go ahead? Would you like to buy? And instead ask an open question, one that encourages a more thoughtful response, one that encourages a more detailed answer. So rather than, would you like to buy from me? Hi Kirsty. You might like to ask a question like, what would you like to happen next? Because what you're hoping they're going to say is, well, I want to buy it. I want to be on the program. I want to work with you. I want to buy the course, or whatever it is. I want the contract, send it over to me. Or they might ask you a question. But if you say, what would you like to happen next? Then they are going to give you a more considered, a more thoughtful response to that question. It takes away the pressure of the yes or no answer. So what would you like to happen next? they're going to say, well, I've got a couple of questions if that's okay. Or they're going to say, yes, I want to go ahead. Or they're going to say, well, I have some doubts or some concerns, or you haven't told me the price. They're gonna come to you with something that's a quality, conversation mover. It's going to move you further into the sales conversation. Whereas, do you want to go ahead? Would you like to buy? A closed question is going to close it off. So I hope, does this land with you guys? Can you now reflect on the way that you ask your sales closing questions? Can you reflect on whether or not you ask a closed question or an open question? So another open question that you might like to ask at the end of a sale could be, what questions do you have for me? So during a sales conversation, the best technique, I'm going to be going through with you on Friday the structure of a discovery call and how you should structure it. So if you aren't signed up for Friday, get signed up for Friday, because I'm going to be talking you through my Cupid discovery call model, which is absolutely mwah. But aside from going into all that detail now, when you get to that point in the call where you feel like you need to close the sale, what you should have been doing is asking lots of questions, getting lots of information, really understanding where your client is at, really anticipating what they need, why they need it. And the questions that you're asking them are not necessarily always sales questions. They might be what I call qualifying questions, because you need to qualify whether or not they are a good fit for you. So at the beginning, it's kind of like an interview. It's kind of like, I don't want to just work with anybody, so I need to know that you're a good fit. So if you know what your qualifying criteria is for a client who's a good client for you, then you'll be able to ask questions that help you to really identify whether or not they're a good fit. When you know they're a good fit, that's when you move into the sales questions. And those sales questions need to be open questions. And my advice is to ask them in three main areas. First is suitability. What is it that they're looking for? So you might want to start the call with, thanks for booking a call with me. You filled out a couple of questions for me so I can see a little bit about your business, but what exactly would you like to get out of today's call? And what that's going to do is they're going to tell you exactly where they're at. They might say, I just want to get to know you. They might say, I want to know about that program. I had a discovery call booked yesterday where the lady said, I specifically want to know about your sales school, Rachel. She's obviously been online, she's read it, she's done her homework, she's booked the discovery call precisely to ask me about that. So she's done me a favour by allowing me, less research time, and I can go to that call more prepared so that she gets better use of the time that she's got with me. So you might want to think about, what questions are you asking before your discovery call? Are you getting enough information from your clients who are booking discovery calls? Are they giving you some insight into where they're at, where their headspace is? Are they looking at a particular program? If so, what's that for? So those questions that you need to ask are about suitability. That's the first sort of line of questioning. The second line of questioning is about timing and urgency. And the third line of questioning is about money, budget, return on investment, expectation, the whole piece around value perception and expectation. So the reason that I'm giving you those three strands of questioning is because if a sales objection happens, and when I say sales objection, I literally just mean when a client says, well, hang on a minute, I'm not ready to buy yet, I've got a question or I've got a concern. When sales objections happen, and trust me, I've been training sales for over 20 years, and I have never found a sales objection that doesn't fall into one of these three pots: suitability, timing, and money. They all fall into one of those three pots. So the best way for you to avoid getting a sales objection is to ask questions around those exact topics. Because if you miss out one of those topics, let's say you ask questions about suitability, what they're looking for, and you ask questions about money and return on investment, but maybe you miss out timing. I guarantee the objection that you will get is, well, now's not really a good time for me. And then you'll be like, oh, why didn't I take Rachel's advice and ask the timing question? I guarantee the one thing that you don't ask about will be the reason that you get a question mark at the end. You get a no or some form of objection, some form of blockage in the sales conversation. So your questions around suitability are likely to be very, very straightforward, because you know your product, you know your service, you know the value of the work that you deliver, and so you're probably very, very good already at asking somebody about what they need and why they need it. You probably already naturally are doing that. The two that you're probably less likely to be doing, and I say probably less likely because virtually every client I've ever worked with, when we talk about this, they reflect on their processes and realize that yes, sometimes they are missing out timing and money. So it's probably, maybe you're missing out one or the other or both sometimes. And sometimes it's that you ask the suitability questions usually first. In the sales conversation, they come first. And if there's already a good sign of alignment and a good sign that they describe the ideal, program of work for them, and it fits exactly with what you do and how you do it, the excitement is to try to close the sale there and then. The excitement for you as the entrepreneur is to be like, oh, I've got one, I finally got a client where it's a perfect fit. And you try to close the sale too early. You close the sale before you ask the timing and the money question. And so when you try to close the sale too early based on a pure suitability match, you then get the sales objection about time and money. So when you ask about timing, it could sound like, when do you need to achieve this by? What date or deadline are you working to? What's your ideal goal, day in the calendar? So you're asking about a deadline. You're asking about, scale of 1 to 10, Mrs. Customer, how urgent is this for you? So you're asking either for a date or a deadline or some indication of urgency. Because if the client says, well, I need it sorted by the end of 2023, then you know that you shouldn't be trying to close that sale, because they're shopping too early. They are, they're not serious at that point. And if you are getting clients who behave in that way, maybe you need to ask a question in your discovery call, pre-questions, that draws out whether or not they are ready to buy right now, when they need their problem fixing, when they need their outcome delivering. So if you are getting a lot of timing objections, you might want to think about bringing in those questions. The money questions, this is where, I know you guys are probably fearing this the most. Do you ask somebody, do you have a budget? Do you ask somebody, what do you expect this is going to cost? Do you ask somebody, have you done any research into pricing for this? I would say if you're selling coaching, consultancy services, you're selling VA services, any online services, I wouldn't ask those questions. I would focus more on the outcome. I think if you're selling in a corporate situation, so a lot of my career I've sold to corporates. If I'm selling to a corporate, a managing director of a big firm or an HR director, because I was selling trading of a big firm, then I would ask, what's your budget? How are you going to measure return on investment? I would ask those corporate questions. But as an entrepreneur selling online services, what I would focus on is whether or not the outcome is going to be worth the investment. So I would be looking at whether or not your ideal client is trying to move from something or to something. So have a think about maybe some of your recent sales conversations and just reflect on how it played out. Did it come across that your ideal client was running from a problem, running from a challenge, doing anything that they could to try to avoid something, or were they talking about something that they were trying to run to, a situation that they were trying to create, impact that they were trying to create in the future? Now, what I'm going to suggest to you is, and this is not based on facts, science, or anything, this is just based on Rachel with years of experience of doing this. I'm going to suggest to you that if you have a client who is talking to you passionately and in detail about something that they're wanting to run to, that they are easier for you to close than somebody that's running from. Okay, I'm going to say that again. If somebody's trying to create a situation in the future, so, you know, take me for example, you know, I'm selling a program at the moment where the outcome people get is 5 new clients. If somebody is saying to me on a discovery call, I need 5 new clients minimum, that is what I need, it's a future situation that they're trying to create, they're trying to run towards a goal, I know that is easier for me to close the sale than somebody saying to me, I haven't got any clients, I don't know what to do, I wanted 5, but at the moment, you know, I haven't got any, and I can't stay in that situation forever, it's not good for me. So they're trying to run from a situation. If your ideal client cannot take what they're running from, what they're trying to avoid, and turn it into an I want statement for you, then they are seeing this situation in the future as less urgent. And if it's less urgent, they are less likely to invest in it. Is this making sense, guys? Am I making sense? I hope so. I hope so. I hope you're getting, I'm doing lots of arm waving around, but I hope you're getting the sense of what I'm suggesting to you is that if your client in that discovery call can describe to you in detail the situation that they want in the future, where they're looking to get to in the future, if they can say, Rachel, I am on this call with you today because I need to achieve X, Y, and Z by these dates, and that's important to me because of these things, and you've got to help me, then that is much, much easier for me to work with and for you to work with. If you've got ideal clients describing a future situation to you, that's much, much easier than somebody just saying, well, I just don't want it to carry on the way it's been. I just don't like the situation I'm in now, and I hope I can change it one day. That is far less committed, far less, far less ambitious, far less aggressive in terms of mindset. Now, of course, what might be happening is they might be playing it down a little bit. They might be thinking, well, I don't really like being in a sales conversation, and I don't want to show my hand too early. I don't want to make it look and sound like I'm a dead cert because I haven't heard the price yet. So I'm going to play it down and not talk ambitiously about what I want. I'm going to be a bit non-committal. So there could be a little bit of that going on. There could be some nervousness around money and budget. So there could be some anticipation building of, I kind of like this person I'm speaking to and kind of want to work with them, but I don't know the price yet, and so they don't want to give too much away. So thank you, Kirsty. I'm glad this is making sense. It's always good to get some feedback so that I don't feel lonely sat here all by myself with my water, because I'm on my health kick and I'm doing so well on my health kick. I'm so proud of myself. I know it's only the 5th of January, but that's still the 5th of January. There's been years gone by where I've given up by the 2nd, so I'm doing well. Cheers to the sparkling water. But yeah, I'm glad that this is making sense. So when a client or an ideal client, when somebody that you're on a discovery call, if you were to ask them one of the questions that I advise you to ask, thanks for the claps, Robin. I love that emoji. I use that emoji so often, those claps, because as a person, naturally, as you can probably tell, I'm quite an excitable character, and so when I get excited, I always do that. I always go, so I love those emojis. I love them. if you ever drop in the DMs, you'll probably get loads of claps from me, because that's how I celebrate. So, all the high fives. I like the high fives as well. But yeah, I love those claps. But yeah, if you ask the question, and now you're laughing at me. Yeah, Rachel's a bit crazy. If you ask the question to your ideal client, do you have any questions for me? The chances are, if you haven't talked price at that point in the conversation, if you haven't talked price yet, and you say, do you have any questions for me, they are going to tell you exactly where they're at subconsciously. If they say, well, yeah, you haven't told me the price yet, I want to know how much it is. Because if they ask you the price, I'm telling you this, 100% they want it. If they say, how much is it, Rachel? How much is it, Robin? How much is it, Kirsty? Oh, you're loving my energy. I'm awesome. Oh, thank you, ladies. Oh, feeling lovely now. If they ask you, how much is it? What is the price? They might as well be saying to you, I want to work with you. Sign me up, but please tell me how much it is. If they ask you the price, they are serious. They are really, really serious. And at that point, you need to get serious, and you need to get into return on investment conversations. And you need to, at that point, make sure that you are absolutely selling results. Results, results, results. And I am going to keep posting in this Facebook group. I'm going to keep posting little tests for you all, and I'm going to give you some feedback if you don't pass my little test. I'm going to keep asking you questions about what impact do you create for your clients? What do your clients actually buy from you? And if I see you guys just dropping little links, little buy my stuff links, then I'm going to come after you, and I'm going to kick you up the bottom, because what you need to be selling is not links. You don't need to be saying, I do a 5-week coaching program, or I've got an online course. You need to be talking about the results. How many times have already you heard me say, I've got a program coming up where I help my clients get 5 clients. They're going to get 5 clients. They're going to come on my program and they're going to get 5 clients. That is a result. I'm selling a result. When I say that, the ladies that are already on that program, I don't know if any of them are watching, the ladies that are on that program, never once when we talked about, you're going to get 5 clients, did they go, well, yeah, but what's each of the 12 weeks? What will we be doing in the 12 weeks? At that point, they don't care, because I'm selling them the result. They want the result. So you guys need to think about your result. If your client on a discovery call asks for the price, they ask for it outright, they are basically ready to buy. And at that point, you have to talk about results. You have to talk about what you're going to deliver for them. Now, I know that you can't guarantee it. I mean, I can't write in blood that my clients are going to get 5 clients, but I can literally move a mountain to make sure that they've got the best possible chance, and I can give them as much support as I can physically give, just like you will for your clients, because, I'm assuming that you are all as passionate about your clients as I am about mine, and so you want them to get the result. So if they ask you for the price, you are going to switch into a result sale, because if they're asking you for the price, what they are actually weighing up is investment versus outcome, investment versus return, investment versus am I going to get what I want? Okay, it's all about what they want. It's about what they're running to, not what they're running from, what they're running to. Okay, and if you start just making these tiny little tweaks, you will feel more confident. By the time the end of the conversation comes, you will feel that that anticipation mounting, that excitement mounting. I was on a discovery call with a lady the other day, and she was sat in her kitchen on a stool with her laptop there, and we were on Zoom. And she probably didn't know that she was leaking as much body language as what she was leaking. But as we were talking about the program, she was doing that. She was doing the emojis. She was going, Rachel, are you going to teach me to sell how you sell? And she literally couldn't hold back her her excitement at the results that she was hoping to get. So you need to be look down the lens at your client. You know, are they linking body language to you? If they are smiling, making good eye contact, if they are, you know, facing forward and they're quite direct and they're really in the conversation, they're fully engaged, then there is every chance that you are going to sell that person onto your services, onto your program. So look for those signs of body language that are going to tell you to feel confident and to not have that little voice going, oh no, but you've got to ask for the sale in a minute. Oh no, what's going to happen? Because you've got to silence that voice. Because that voice, when that final sales piece happens and you talk money and you talk about when should we start, you know, I'll ping you over the contract or whatever that looks like. When that happens, if that voice is still there and you haven't gone, shut up, stop talking and got rid of it, you haven't done that, that voice is going to affect the way that you put it across, the way that you portray it. Your level of confidence is going to be affected by that little voice. And if you don't sound confident about the results that you are going to deliver for and with your client, if you don't sound confident, how confident can they be? How confident can they be? If I was saying to my clients, well, you know, I'm going to try and get you 5 clients, but, you know, some people it's worked for, you know, some people it hasn't. It might work, you know, it might not, and we'll try. If I sounded that, that underconfident, that low in excitement levels, are they going to feel confident? Of course they're not, because they're going to bounce off my energy. And I know I'm a particularly excitable person, and you certainly don't have to be on a sales call waving your arms around like me, but you do have to sound confident. You do have to sound confident about the result that you are going to help them to achieve. Okay, so you gotta fall in love with your clients, and they've got to fall back in love with you. You know, like before anything can happen, you have to be aligned. You have to be aligned with each other's energy, with each other's confidence levels. I wouldn't want to sign somebody onto my program that I didn't think was going to fully commit to it. So when I say to them, how hard are you going to work? When you know, if you get onto this 12-week program, are you going to turn up to all the classes? Are you going to give it your everything? Because I can't get you 5 clients if you're not doing your bit. And if they're a bit like, well, you know, there's probably some I can't do, and you know, there's a movie on Netflix I want to watch, and I might miss a couple. Well then, sorry, you're not coming on the program. I don't care how much you want to pay for it. You're not coming on, because I want to feel good about the work I do, just like you want to feel good about the work that you do. So you wish you were more excitable, Robin. Do you know what? As an introvert, I'm going to send you a video, Robin. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's probably about a year old now, and I did a whole video about why introverts are amazing at selling. Introverts are better sellers. This is, again, just my humble opinion. Introverts are much better salespeople than extroverts. I'm a raving extrovert, obviously. Introverts are better because introverts are more cautious with the way that they converse, the way that they listen, the way that they play back in a conversation. Their listening skills are much better. Introverts are much better listeners because extroverts just love the sound of their own voice. Case in point, sat right here, you know, doing all the talking, just like an extrovert likes it. But an introvert, when an introvert asks a client a question, they listen properly. Now, I listen properly. When I'm with a client, I'm not like this at all. When I'm with a client, I'm much more reserved, I'm much quieter, because it's all about them. It's not about me. It's all about them. And an introvert is really good at making the client feel like the VIP, because they don't like the sound of their own voice. They're not like blah. They are much more considered in the way that they converse. So I think being an introvert, Robin, is a real benefit. I really do. So yeah, I'm gonna send you my videos. It's me stood I think I'm in my bedroom going, introverts rule the world. Introverts are amazing. So, if you're an extrovert, you need to pipe down and let the client get a word in edgeways. So yeah, I will send you that, sweetie. I will send you that. So I've got some notes here. What have I not told you? Oh, here's a good question for you to ask your client just as a suggestion. Ask your client on a discovery call, what is most important to you? Because don't forget, you're trying to get them to describe this future outcome rather than describe where they're running away from, what they're trying to avoid. So if you say what is most important to you, what you're looking for them to give you is a description of the future or a particular type of return on investment. So, if you're a health coach or a nutrition coach, you're looking for them to say, weight loss of this, or weight gain of that, or whatever it is their goal is. But you want detail, you want something you can work with. If you're a life coach, you want them to explain to you the changes that they want to see in their life. If Michelle's on, if you're a relationship coach, you want them to intimately describe to you what they want to see happen in their relationship in the future, not just what they're trying to avoid from the past, because that way you've got the better chance of selling. Yeah. So what's most important to you? That's a really good question, because it's an open question, it's not a yes or no, and it gets them really sort of talking to you about what's important. And then what you can do, once they've described what's important to them, your follow-up question should be, and how are you going to know when you get there? How are you going to measure that? How are you going to, what is the barometer? What is the thing that you're going to track or measure? Is it a feeling? Is it an amount of money? Is it a lifestyle change? What is it, and how are you going to measure it? And then, of course, once they've told you how they're going to measure it, then you can ask the urgency question that I suggested earlier. And how important and urgent is this to you? You've told me that this is important. You've told me that you're going to measure it in this way, so you can describe it in detail. But how urgent is this? What's going to happen in your life, in your business, if you don't achieve this? How much longer can you stay where you're at? What is the impact of doing nothing? So some of these questions, guys, I hope you're writing them down, because these are really, really good sales questions. Really good sales questions. I've been doing this stuff 20 years, I promise you. I've asked every question in the book. I probably made every mistake in the book. And so I've learned the hard way. And, I guess I've made all the mistakes so that you don't have to, because I'm here to share them with you. So these are really good questions. So what's important to you? Why is that important? How are you going to measure it? What's it going to look like when you get there? How will you know when you get there? And then how urgent is it? What happens if nothing happens? What does that look like for you? And how much do you want to avoid that from happening? You're trying to create this gap. You're trying to create where they are now, where they want to be, and then you're trying to raise the urgency of that. Because if it becomes really urgent and important, it's worth investing in. Okay? I hope this is really helping you. So the title of today's session was how to help you feel more confident asking for the sale. So what I'm going to ask you now, guys, is how confident do you feel? Given the fact that we've been on here for nearly 40 minutes, have I given you enough tips to help you to feel more confident? Please just give me some feedback. I'd love to know from you. Has this made you feel more confident? Have you still got questions for me around sales? Oh, we've got a question. What's a good example of a money or a budget question? Great question, Claire. So an example of a money question or a budget question, like I said earlier, if you're selling to a corporate, you might just come out with, what's your budget? Do you have a budget for that? Usually, if you say to somebody, what's your budget? They'll say, none of your business. So I tend to not ask, what is your budget? What I tend to ask is the natural question that comes after the money question. Because if you ask the natural question that comes after the money question, what the client ends up doing is taking you back to the answer that they would have given if you asked the money question. All right, so it sounds like this. How are you going to measure return on investment? because I'm assuming, you know, you've got an idea of how much you're prepared to invest to make this situation happen. How are you going to measure the return that you get on your investment? Now, at that point, they might say, well, you haven't told me how much it is yet. But at that point, you can say, well, the price is irrelevant unless you know how you're going to measure success. Because I pride myself on doing a good job for my clients. I pride myself on making my clients' goals my goals. And so it's really important to me that I sell the right people into my programs, which means I need to know, how are you going to measure what success looks like? Because if you don't know how you're going to measure it, how do we even know that it's even possible? Okay, and I don't like taking on goals that are not possible. So let's talk about how you're going to measure return on investment. And what happens then is they will start to say, well, I'm going to measure it by looking at X or Y or Z, whatever that is. So for me, probably it's a little bit easier because I'm a sales coach. And so people come to me for sales. So I can easily help them measure client numbers, revenue amounts. It's black or white outcome for me. Whereas if you are a life coach, a little bit more difficult that is, because you're measuring feelings, you're measuring situations, you're measuring circumstances. And that is definitely just that little bit more difficult, but not impossible, because you can always tell a story about what the outcome needs to look like and how they're gonna know that they've arrived there. If they can't describe to you how they're going to measure return on investment, then they're probably not as serious as you hope that they are. So what will happen is, to just come back to your question, Claire, if they say, well, I'm going to measure it because I'm going to look at X, Y, Z, what that's going to do, from experience, I can tell you, what they will naturally then do is talk about, well, I'm expecting that this is going to cost me X. Or, you know, I have an opinion that this might cost me Y, and they will start to give you an idea or an understanding of what their perception of the cost is. And then, of course, you can get into the real cost, the real return on investment conversation around, are they prepared, you know, to invest? But you have to fall in love with the client first, not their money. Fall in love with the outcome that you're helping them to achieve. And then the money becomes so much less of an issue. At the start of a sales conversation, money feels like a big issue, but once they can describe to you the outcome and the urgency that they have, that what they're trying to get to, the money becomes such a small thing, unless of course they don't have any, and then, you know, maybe you don't want to get into that situation of trying to encourage them to get into debt to buy your service and all that. I don't go in for all of that. You know, that's not my thing. You know, I wouldn't be sat on a sales call with somebody saying, go and get a credit card. You know, that just doesn't feel right to me. If people want to invest, they will. If you've built the urgency and excitement that you are going to deliver the result, the excitement for the result will minimize the money. So, Claire, I know that you've got a long sales background, so you've probably done it a number of ways in the past. But yeah, I promise you, if you talk about result, if you sell results and impact, the money becomes a much smaller issue. So yeah, that's pretty much it from me. I've done all my notes here and I've covered. So aren't I good? I didn't really have to look down at them too much. It just sort of leaves me to invite you, if you haven't already booked a place on the free group coaching tomorrow or next Wednesday. There's a group next Wednesday. There's more spaces available next Wednesday. I think tomorrow we've only got one space left for group coaching with me, and that group coaching is a private event. It's not broadcast, so that people who want to come and, you know, get some private time. It's not one-to-one. There's only 6 people on the session though. I'm not going to broadcast that in case people want to bring, you know, some deeper issues, some challenges that they're having. So it doesn't feel right that I broadcast that to everybody in the Facebook group to air your concerns and your challenges in your own business. That's just a little private group coaching session for me to be able to offer you some support, some advice, and some maybe ideas around how you can approach those situations in a different way. So anybody that does want to join that free group coaching session tomorrow, I will drop the link underneath this video for you. And I will be back here tonight at 9 o'clock UK time, which is, let me just think, what is this, 6:45 now. So in 2.25 hours from now, so 9 o'clock UK time is 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central, and 1 o'clock Pacific. It's just basic maths, but doing it in my head is a challenge at this time. But yeah, I will be back here at 9 o'clock, and I will go live, completely live like this. If anybody is there to ask me a question live and you want to have some more live discussion, then I will stay live for as long as I've got questions. So there's no training, there's no material, you know, me waving my arms around talking to you. It's more led by you. So if you have a question, a burning question that you want to ask me at 9 o'clock tonight, I will be live for anybody that's maybe missed this class and caught up in between. And yeah, you can come and ask me anything you like about sales, and I will answer it for you. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Mwah. I'm absolutely loving the excitement in the group at the moment for sales and for supporting each other. I'm starting to notice that in the comment threads, there's becoming some really lovely support for each other, which is one of the things I absolutely wanted to do in this group. There are so many Facebook groups out there that are just a bit blah, you know, like everybody's just like, oh, find my links around. There's so many groups out there that are just, I don't know, the engagement it feels fake. The engagement doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like real humans connecting to help and support each other. And I'm definitely a value first, a support first type of business person, because every time I've ever led with, collaboration or value or relationships, good stuff happens. Sometimes it's not sales, sometimes it's a referral, sometimes it's a new opportunity, like you just never know. And to see you guys engaging with each other in the thread without me, having to drag it out of you, that's exactly what I was hoping to build here in the group. I don't want to grow this group to be like all the others, with like 40,000 people in them. We don't need that. We just need people that are the right people who want to get stuff done and get achievements made in their business and aspire to bigger things, and are happy to take other people with them and give them a leg up, rather than I'm going to fire my link before you fire your link and it's all a bit of a race to the finish. And there's no fun in that, I think we can achieve far more by building really good relationships. And I can see Robin and Kirsty are agreeing with me. So thank you, ladies. That's yeah, it just feels lovely. So that's it from me. I will see you maybe at 9 o'clock UK time if you are around. If not, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.